Hi, everybody, and welcome to Workout in the Word. And we're going to do something a little bit different for the next few weeks. And I want to talk to people who are making a difference in the community through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And today I have with me Pastor Holman, and Pastor Holman has done a lot of work in the community, and he's been the pastor of Hillcrest for how many years?
21.
21 years, and he's semi-retired now, but he still works with a lot of people to make a change in our community. Today, I want to talk to him about a ministry in our community, Crossroads, and it's like a rehabilitation facility for young ladies, right?
It is, Pastor Dave. It is a rehabilitation recovery center that started in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of the founders, along with a couple that their names are Paul and Karen Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And since 2010, we have worked with almost 700 ladies.
Wow.
And even this year, when our numbers have been down because of COVID, courts being closed, we haven't been able to take girls from the jail setting because we didn't want to bring COVID into the center. We've worked with almost 70 girls this year. And the Lord has just blessed that ministry. Paul and Karen were saved in 1980. Both of them out of a life of addiction.
Oh, okay.
Their addiction was alcohol. And the Lord has just incredibly used them. They moved to Nashville, and they worked with the Nashville City Rescue Mission. Karen became a therapist, and Paul was head of their men's division. And they retired at the same time I became pastor at Hillcrest, which was December in 1999. And they sat down one day and they talked with me and said, you know, though we're retired, we still feel a need to work with addicts. And can we put something together, us and you, that will minister to people with addictions? And so our first effort started in 2002, which we called Shepherd's Way. And that worked primarily with men. It was
I didn't know that.
It was a rehab program for men. In fact, one of our deacons, a man by the name of Chad Wood, he wouldn't mind me using his name. He heads up our CR department, which is Celebrate Recovery. He went through that program. God radically changed his life. And the first time Paul laid eyes on him was up at Reed in the addiction area. And Paul left there that day saying, I'm not going to take him. He was just out of it. But he ended up taking him, and the Lord just transformed his life. And then there's a man who pastors Surety Community here in town.
Yeah.
He's a graduate of Shepherd's Way.
Oh, okay.
And so God just blessed that. But as we went along, they wanted to start something for women. Paul said to Karen, no, we got our plate full now, we're retired. And she said, Paul, if somebody gives us a house, would you be willing to see that as God's will? Oh, Paul thought, there's nobody going to give us a house. But 2 weeks later, God gave him a house.
Oh, wow.
And they called it Victory House. And it was like the men's house in the fact that it was a transitional care unit. They would have to work, and it wasn't a full rehab. And as they worked with both the men and the women, they discovered that what we needed was a total rehab.
Yeah.
And so, again, Paul said to Karen, we don't have the time, we don't have the money. And Karen said, if somebody gives us a place, would you be willing to say yes? Paul said, well, I'm a little afraid to say yes now, but yes, I would.
Yeah.
Well, the property where they're at, out on 27, which is the old Smith Epson Hospital, was given to us by First Bank.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just totally handed over to us.
That's providence there, isn't it?
But what did happen is we did see that we didn't have the staff. They were at the age where they had to back away some. And so, because there were others who were working with guys like the Hope House, we backed away from our Shepherd's Way men's division, and they started a full rehab for women called Crossroads.
Yeah.
And God has just blessed it and used it. Of those 685 women, I believe is the correct number, that they've worked with, those 685 women have had 1,380 children.
Oh, wow.
So not only have almost 700 women been given an opportunity to know how to be set free, but it has influenced all those kids.
Right.
Which, because of the addictions of their moms, usually are with other family members or in the system. So God has just blessed it, and it's a program. Initially, it was a 6-month program, but we were turning away one lady a day.
Oh, okay.
And then because of that, we cut back to a 4-month program, and then added a transitional care, another 6 months if they chose to do it. But in many cases, the women are not in a position to take the extra 6 months because they have kids.
Yeah.
So they want to get back to their kids or have God restore their families. But God has just incredibly blessed that. They can come free of charge. It's a by faith ministry. My job, I do not directly work with the ladies, but my job is to raise the funds, to raise the money, and so that's the privilege that I have. Paul and Karen actually retired in 2012. Paul's 86. Karen is 80, in her early 80s. And the Lord sent us a couple by the name of Tom and Wendy Cannon. And they were there for 8 years. And they did an incredible job. But that job, because of our lack of funds, becomes a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day job. And so last December, they said to me, we've accepted a position with another ministry up in Minnesota. And my first reaction was, what are we going to do?
I think a lot of us have that reaction when God already has a plan.
And He did have a plan.
Yeah.
And the couple that is in there now is a couple by the name of Donald and Joni Reed. Joni actually came to us 5 years ago, homeless.
Oh, wow.
She was a nurse, 1 credit away from getting her RN degree, and went through the program. God just completely transformed her life. Donald, 4 years ago, was in prison.
Oh, wow.
And Donald and Joni have just done an incredible job. Our phones are ringing again. The pandemic slowed us down on numbers, but the phones are ringing again, and we're excited about what God is going to do in the future, and we look forward to His plan.
Yeah, so they have a vested interest in that ministry, don't they? Because she actually is a person who's been changed by it.
Her life was transformed by the time that she spent in Crossroads.
Yeah.
And they both do an incredible job. It was sort of amazing how God brought them back to us. When Tom and Wendy quit, they told us that they wrote their resume out, but though they have the background for it, they are so young in the Lord, they thought, they'll never accept me. And And one day somebody was talking to him, and I think it was Karen Rose, said, Joni, get your resume in. And it was an answer on our end to prayer.
Yeah.
Donald is a builder, a carpenter.
Oh, okay.
And he's continued that work. And Buddy's able to use his gifts out there in that area. And honestly, they've done an incredible job out there. And so we're excited about the future, excited about what God is going to do, grateful for what Fellowship Church has done and helped. One of the ministries that came out of that was a ministry called Unchained Praises.
Yeah.
And a girl that went through the program started it, and this church helped her, supported her, and Susan herself probably was not completely ready, hasn't relapsed, but stepped back, but this church was a great help to her ministry, and God is still using Susan, and we appreciate the help that Fellowship Church has been to the ministry, indirectly in some ways, but an important part of helping that ministry helped Crossroads.
Yeah.
She volunteered out at Crossroads, and so thanks to Fellowship Church for the help you've been.
Well, a church really, to be a complete church, you have to help your members, but really a church also has to reach out into the community and help too, to really fulfill a commandment that Jesus gave about going into the world, and making disciples. So I think it's good to do that. How would somebody do? Is it a way that they go into Crossroads? Is it volunteer, or is it like a recommendation, or how would a lady, if she wanted to get into that, get herself straightened out or get herself clean, or however that you would put it, how would she get into that?
Well, if someone wanted to come out as a client that needs help, they can get on our webpage, Crossroad Recovery Center for Women in Richmond, and get the number, and call Crossroad and ask for Joni. And anybody, if she tells whoever answers the phone that they're interested in a bed in the program, then they'll get the ball started. What we've discovered is a lot of times parents want to make that call for their child, their daughter.
Right, sure.
But it really only works if the young lady says, I need help, I'll make the call.
Sure.
So if they make that call, then the process is started, the intake is done, and if a bed is available, they are given a date to come in, whether that's the same day or whatever. Those wheels can run pretty smoothly once they make the call. If someone wants to be a volunteer, we actually have close to 20 volunteers that make Crossroad work. And people bring different gifts, as you know. As a pastor, they do that here.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to volunteer, just go to our webpage, Crossroad Recovery Center for Women, and find the number. There's a application that has to be filled out, and then a recommendation from the pastor, from their pastor. And when I say a recommendation, it just means, hey, this is someone who lives a life free of addictions and has a passion for the Lord. And so that's how they would become a volunteer.
Okay. Good stuff. I mean, it's good for people to hear, because a lot of people, want help. They just don't know how to get it sometimes. And I think that's a good program. And well, thanks for sharing today. We appreciate it. And
Dave, thank you.
All righty. Well, you guys have information on Crossroads, and we're going to start doing a weekly program for a while on area businesses that are Christian-centered, and we're excited about this first time. But hey, I want to thank you guys for joining us on Wednesday Workout in the Word, kind of on the road, and you guys take care, and you have a blessed week. We'll talk to you soon.